So there's a really fascinating report out about how Donald Trump actually can face potential legal trouble for inciting violence for the U.S. Capitol storming and breaching. He actually can face legal troubles, and it's actually pretty fascinating because there were reports that he was enjoying the storming that was happening, and that he was reluctant to even say anything negative about it. Um, until his aides basically said, "Yo, you could face potential legal charges if you do not come out and actually condemn this stuff." So this article, it's originally from Business Insider, but I'm looking at it from Yahoo News. It's a really fascinating one. It says President Donald Trump agreed to record a video denouncing the rioters who stormed the Capitol only after he realized he may face legal trouble for cheering them on, the New York Times reported. In a 2-minute video posted on Twitter on Thursday, a full day after the attack, Trump said he would ensure, quote, a smooth, orderly, and seamless transition of power to the Biden administration. He began by denouncing those behind Wednesday's destruction. Quote, like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem, Trump said, adding, to those who broke the law, you will pay. But the Times reported that Trump had been reluctant to record the video until, quote, he appeared to suddenly realize he could face legal risk for prodding the mob. Before the rioting on Wednesday, Trump addressed a crowd that had gathered near the Capitol. We will never give up, he said. We will never concede. He also urged his supporters to, quote, fight like hell. The crowd marched on the Capitol shortly after the speech. Prosecutors looking at all actors. It says, according to the Times and the Washington Post, several aides and members of Trump's inner circle, including Mark Meadows, the White House chief of staff, Pat Cipollone, the White House counsel, and members of Trump's family had warned him of the legal repercussions he could face for encouraging the mob. Then on Thursday, Michael Sherwin, the acting U.S. attorney in Washington, D.C., said federal prosecutors were investigating anyone who may have played a role in the Capitol riot. When asked by journalists whether that included Trump, Sherwin said, we are looking at all actors here, and anyone that had a role, if the evidence fits the element of a crime, they're going to be charged. New York Magazine's Olivia Nuzzi tweeted on Thursday that Trump was now fully aware of the legal trouble that could await him. A person who currently advises Donald Trump tells me, it's all hit him since yesterday. You may have legal exposure from yesterday. You definitely have legal exposure from other things. You have less than 2 weeks to remain ensconced in here with executive privilege. Remember, executive privilege is a really crucial thing that allows him to basically prevent himself from really being investigated with a lot of his personal documents. And you really only have that power as president in most cases. And so once you're out of office, you don't have that executive privilege anymore. And you can pretty much fully be investigated to the fullest extent, right? So that's what's really been protecting him from a lot of potential legal battles and legal trouble that will no longer be a protection for him once he's actually out of office. It says the Post reported that it took Trump a long time to say anything about the Capitol insurrection at all, and that he refused aides' pleas to call into Fox News to urge the rioters to stop. The aides were eventually able to persuade the president to tweet, the Post said. Stay peaceful, Trump said in one post, shortly after he tweeted, no violence. He didn't want to say anything or do anything to rise to the moment, a U.S. official told the Post. The president also recorded a video on Wednesday calling on his supporters to stop the violence. But in it, he continued to peddle false claims about the 2020 election and said, we love you, you're very special. So basically the tweets, if you had read those last tweets that Trump sent out that really got him banned, he was doing this doublespeak where he was trying to pretendingly, fakely denouncing his supporters while also at the same time continuing to push the bullshit election fraud stuff that he was saying. But he was also throwing it in there like, oh, this is the kind of thing that happens when an election is stolen. Be joyful. It was this very clear attempt at trying to say two things, but only one of them's real. And it was the idea that the election was stolen and that, he's calling his supporters special and Ivanka called the people patriots. It was just totally horrible. It was very obvious that he was enjoying it. And the reports were that, yeah, he was enjoying it. And one of the senators, I think it was Ben Sasse, who's a Republican, by the way, not a Democrat, was saying that, yeah, there were reports that he was enjoying the riot. And who he incited it, of course he was enjoying it. That's what he wanted to happen. He wanted his supporters to put direct pressure on Congress to try to overturn the election results. That's exactly what he wanted. He wanted them to feel his and his supporters' wrath. But it's really interesting to get these sort of reports that he was enjoying it, and that he only decided to even really put anything out there when he realized, man, I might be in legal threat. And for him, he's going to be facing a lot of legal issues, potential shit from the Mueller situation. There's such a vast garden variety of financial crimes that Michael Cohen could even implicate him in. Obviously, there's this new scandal with his daughter basically stealing inauguration funds to funnel money into the Trump family. There's so many various things that he's going to be facing legal troubles for, and he can be investigated to essentially the full extent once that executive privilege is gone, when he is actually president, when he's no longer president of the United States. So now, the DOJ, the Department of Justice, are going to get a new AG, obviously, when Biden comes in. Is that, it all really comes down to, is that Attorney General going to try to press charges against Trump? Are they even going to investigate him? Are they going to try to build a case to bring against him, That's really what it's going to come down to. But it is pretty fascinating to see the level of criminality of Donald Trump and what's going to happen in the future. Hopefully he does get at least indicted on criminal charges for something, whether it be, could be this, although I think this is unlikely. One of his criminal charges, as I explained earlier, there's so many of them, right? There's just so many criminal and civil charges against him. Because like I said earlier, there needs to be punishments handed out to the Republicans at every step of the way here. The attorneys who were filing these frivolous lawsuits, meritless lawsuits that were just completely against ethics violations of the court. Obviously what's going on here with Trump. All of this stuff needs to be punished every step of the way.